Hey everyone, welcome back to the Cruel World Podcast number 4.
Woohoo!
You know what they say, it's one step closer to number 5.
Yep, that is what they say.
It's factual, straight facts.
Fun fact about this podcast, we actually filmed it a few days ago and the audio was super messed up.
I was pretty bummed out.
Yeah, and we were both super awkward. I think we're just getting used to this like podcast format where you're talking longer and I'm used to having cuts and he's not used to being in front of the camera. So
or talking in general. Like,
yeah.
Whenever I come home, I just don't say a word. I just speak sign language. I'm just like, hey.
Like a lot of you guys in our last podcast episode said you love Riley's humor, and that made me so happy because
touched my heart because I know I'm not funny.
No, he's hilarious to me. I love his really unique humor. So to see other people like get it means a lot to me. But we are still both getting used to the podcast. So there's some rocky moments.
Totes. So for today's podcast, we're going to do something a little different, a little bit of spice thrown in here. We're not going to be talking about MLMs which we usually do for the past 3 episodes that we did. Mm-hmm. But we're going to be talking about something a little bit scammy, but not MLM scammy. And that's going to be Jordan Belfort.
Yes.
The real Wolf of Wall Street.
Infamous Jordan Belfort. Just, I find that a lot of these scams or scams of the past, present, scammy figures, they all have a lot of similarities. And when you study a broad variety of them, you start to pick up on patterns. And so I'm really excited to dive into the life of Jordan Belfort, see how he compares to figures like the founders of LuLaRoe and their actions and kind of learn from that. So super stoked for this episode.
Totally.
It'll also probably draw in a little bit more of that, the male demographic.
Maybe, yeah, because a lot of dudes just look up to Jordan Belfort he's some god, but he's really not. He's kind of.
So if you're a dude and this is your first time on our podcast, welcome. Come join us.
Yes,
subscribe.
We're at the 1%. We're at 1% male. Oh god.
Careful. Yeah, so that's the goal for today. You guys are getting to our real motivations. Just kidding.
Hell yeah.
So yeah, today's podcast episode is all about Jordan Belfort and how his life is actually far from movie perfect. So we're going to take it all the way back to the year of 2013 when the movie Wolf of Wall Street came out and everything felt good and perfect.
Yeah,
this is November 2nd when we're filming this, so it's right before elections, and it just feels like 2020 in general was a major shit show. So even though 2013 to 2015 were kind of awkward years, I would do anything to go back to that time at this moment.
Somewhat, yeah.
Yeah.
Back in your same age now, or back in weird, awkward high school
See,
stage.
I would even be okay with being as awkward as I was in 2013, just having no idea of what was about to come in the years.
The only thing that you're concerned about is your score on Flappy Birds.
Yes, exactly. Oh, the memories. But yeah, back in 2013 is when the movie The Wolf of Wall Street came out. And Martin Scorsese, right?
Scorsese.
Something like that. Scorsese. Martin Scorsese basically gathered the funds to make an insane, overindulgent, just very over-the-top movie that has inspired so many dudes who want to make it rich on Wall Street and was supposed to portray the life of Jordan Belfort, who rose really quickly into success and fame and then plummeted just as quickly. So that's what we're going to talk about, and we're going to kind of compare Jordan's real life to the movie and whether or not some parts were kind of over-exaggerated or if the movie was accurate and it was like a documentary, because, totally.
Yeah, how Hollywood does things. Yep. Hollywood is as accurate as it seems.
Yep.
But yeah, The Wolf of Wall Street was a budget of 100 mil. It's a lot of dollars.
Wow.
Ripskis.
A lot of money invested into portraying this story. And I'd love to know what you guys think, if you guys think that the movie kind of promoted this sort of lifestyle or showed the dangers of it, because there's a lot of people who were inspired by the movie. And there was a lot of people who felt like it was a great portrayal of some of the flaws of that type of lifestyle.
Just like corruption and stuff.
Yeah. And you know, kind of greed and corruption and all of those aspects. But to me, I kind of think it's a weird mix of both. But we'll get into that in a little bit.
Somewhat. Yeah. So The Wolf of Wall Street, if we didn't explain it enough, is the cinematic film just portraying the life of Jordan Belfort. In case you guys didn't watch the movie, spoiler alert, he was this crazy, infamous stockbroker who was just like pretty overzealous and had like a pretty dramatized manner in how he went about his finances, lifestyle, stuff like that. He was a stockbroker who owned his own firm, Stratton, Oakmont, which engaged in like penny stocks, stuff like that, just scamming people who didn't really know anything about stocks at the time.
Hardcore corruption and fraud.
Yeah.
While the movie Wolf of Wall Street definitely emphasized the more flashy party lifestyle aspects of Jordan Belfort's life, what interested us the most about Jordan Belfort and his life and the movie was how he was able to cheat the system and, like Icarus, rise high in success quickly, only to plummet into massive failure shortly after. Jordan's story is a real story of the pursuit of the American dream, capitalism, and how one's desire for success can become so large it ends up compromising one's own morals.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And real quick, everyone, before we get like fully into this, we want to shout out that we have a Patreon now, for Madison's channel and stuff, and but we're included in it too. So it's kind of like a 2-for-1 deal. You pay for a Patreon, you get fun stuff, early access videos, Discord access, shout outs, stuff like that. It's pretty fun. It's our way of engaging more with our audience, because
totally,
if you go on any of Madison's videos, like her comment section is pretty crazy, and her Instagram DMs, it's gotten, it's pretty hardcore.
I try really hard, especially right when a video gets posted. We try really hard to comment as much as we can, but it's been a little bit, it's gotten more and more difficult lately. And I also thought the Patreon would be a nice way for us to post exclusive content, like behind the scenes and how we structure videos and edit them and fun stuff like that, if you guys are interested in that type of content.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
So anyways, going back to Jordan Belfort's background, his story. Story of Jordan Belfort.
Yep. So starting off like we usually do, we're going to kind of dive into the upbringing of Jordan Belfort, the main character or person of this podcast, the main subject. And who he was before money and greed kind of corrupted him. That's kind of a dark way of putting it. Let's analyze, was he always this way, or, was he kind of a good person that had some missteps along his life journey? So Jordan Belfort was brought up in a humble area in Queens, New York. His parents were Max and Leah Belfort. Max and Leah were both accountants, so he kind of had grown up around money,
finances, stuff like that.
Yeah, parents who were kind of focused around finance. So that makes a lot of sense that he would become very money focused when both of your parents, their entire job is, being an accountant, which I actually love accountants. I know like this sounds really weird, but every accountant I've ever met in my life is so nice and like
they're cool people.
So sweet.
Yeah.
So, accountants, we love you. But I'm sure, we
love everyone else too, but accountants especially.
But yeah, I'm sure, as a kid growing up with two parents whose entire job is focused around managing finances and taxes, you learn a lot and, kind of learn about money and how important it is. And so when Jordan was a kid, his parents were concerned for him more often than not because of Jordan's unique personality traits. Max and Leah said that Jordan would never sleep as a kid and appeared to show signs of ADHD. which is totally such a real issue. And I've actually wondered if I'm ADHD. I think I'm actually planning to get that checked out pretty soon, because a lot of time for women, ADHD goes undetected because it has different kind of symptoms than male ADHD. But yeah, so apparently as a kid, Jordan showed a lot of signs of ADHD, with his dad claiming that Jordan could never sit still. But surprisingly, when Jordan went to high school, he was a pretty studious kid, which I heard was kind of, from what I know, that's kind of abnormal for people who struggle with ADHD.
Like he knew how to get around. Like he was just an average like AB student, but yeah.
Yeah, he knew how to cheat the system from a young age. That's something I used to like always say, is like I would always know how to get a score on this test so I can kind of do poorly on homework or whatever, and then, you know, do well in tests and end up getting like a B or an A. And I mean,
hey, we both cheated the system and got out of high school early.
Yeah,
so.
We both graduated from high school early. So yeah, I definitely can relate to that in that aspect of Jordan Belfort. And yeah, so he was kind of from a very early age, he knew how to cheat the system to get by in school. He was really into making money as in as many ways as possible, and manipulating people as well. It reminds me how people always say entrepreneurs start young, and like, oh, you know, on Shark Tank and stuff, they'll always focus on like, were you a young entrepreneur? And you know, have you shown patterns of being an entrepreneur? And so maybe, you know, that's kind of the same pattern for scammers too.
Yeah, possibly. But anyways, Lay, you know, Jordan's mom told me.
Is it Lay or Leah?
I don't know. I'll just say Lay.
Okay.
Screw it. But his mom told New York Magazine that she caught Jordan one time growing cannabis in the attic and stuff. And Jordan tried to convince her by saying that, oh, like, let me just sell the stuff. Let me, you know, continue with this. I promise I'll get you an A. And that's when she kind of picked up that he was like a kind of a piece of shit, like a little manipulative little shitlet. Just straight from the start.
Mm-hmm. So that's interesting that he was a drug dealer in high school, and
yeah, anything to make a buck.
I mean, as bad as this sounds, I think that people always categorize drug dealers in high school as like horrible, or like, you know, how do I say, like lazy, or they're destined to be losers, and
they're just selling like a product.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about it, they're kind of like, in an unfortunate way, young entrepreneurs, they see a market, they see a demand, and they're like, I'm going to supply.
I am going to profit.
the product and profit off of this. And
profits.
Yeah, so it's bad that happens, but I also think, you know, to demonize people who, you know, are drug dealers in high school isn't always the answer either, or to see them as losers, because I think that they might have the right mentality, just applied in a very wrong way.
Yeah, except this little turd. But yeah, so for some reason his mom also told New York Magazine that he was kind of a late bloomer in high school and didn't fit in high school because of it. So this kind of like made Jordan, you know, try and like stand out, you know, and try and be like the cool kid to some extent, without like the jock mentality, or like the varsity high school football player. Mm-hmm.
Like he wanted to be seen in that light, maybe as like a popular macho guy. He wanted to get ladies or have like a girlfriend, but just didn't have maybe the outward appearance. And so that might be why, you know, he was like, okay, let me find these other avenues to become popular in high school. Let me, you know, sell drugs. That's a good way to gain popularity. Everyone, you know.
And we're back. I just lost audio fill for some reason. God bless.
Yeah, I think that's also something that really sucks about high school is the fact that so much of your like status and popularity is based off of your looks or things outside of your control.
Right.
Like, do you have money? Do you have, are you an early bloomer? Do you have this social status?
Do you have a beard by sophomore year?
Yeah, so much of it.
Rhymes.
Yeah, so much of it is just based off of like these things you can't control. And it's definitely like frustrating. I think that was my least favorite part of high school is I just always felt like there's just so much emphasis placed on who you are and where you fit in, and you're trying to figure out your own identity, but then also fit into this ecosystem of just ranking and class it already in high school, and that was just so silly. So yeah, high school.
The 2 years that we were in.
I'm not a fan. Yeah, I'm not a fan of high school or middle school for that matter.
Yeah, just screw school, man.
No, school is important. Education is important. The social aspect of high school, I don't think that's very important at all.
Okay. But anyways, Jordan ended up graduating high school and he went to go study biology in the American University.
Interesting.
Pretty patriotic. Mm-hmm. But he didn't really dig it too much and dropped out and went to the University of Maryland for dentistry. So he kind of went polar opposites here. You know, biology is opposite of dentistry.
Yeah. Well, no, not really.
Yeah, it is.
Dentistry is kind of in the medical field, and usually you study biology to go into.
Just accept it.
Okay.
But anyways, he dropped out almost immediately after when his dentistry professor, I don't know if that's what they're called, but basically told the whole class, hey guys, you're probably not going to make a lot of money in this. And Jordan Belfort, being obsessed with money, selling drugs in high school, having not financially successful, but financially savvy parents.
Yeah.
He was just like, yeah, no, not digging this. And he dropped out.
Which is interesting because my grandpa is a dentist and he had his own dentist practice. So that probably has to do with his success because, having your own business and everything. But he was fairly successful. I mean, he wasn't wildly successful, but he did really well for himself. So I definitely think there is money in dentistry.
Not the kind that Jordan wanted.
Yeah, I guess so.
I don't know. Maybe if he showed a little bit more Jordan effort.
Yep. So obviously the dentist trend or aspiration didn't work out for him, but he needed money and that was kind of a big focus of his. So
it's like, I don't know, like what makes you want to be like, oh, I want to be a dentist?
Oh yeah. Possibly because it's like being a doctor, but it's like I'm not entirely sure.
Doctor.
From what my grandpa told me, there's a little less schooling than being a doctor, but it's within that, same caliber, of course. So that's probably why he got so interested in it. But yeah, so since Jordan, wasn't in school, but he needed money, he quickly picked up a job as a fish and meat door-to-door salesman.
Oh yeah. I actually knew somebody like that back when I was living with my parents. I was like 10 at the time or something, and this guy named Bear. I don't know why I remember this. I just do. So,
probably because a meat salesman is such a bizarre thing. I had no idea that existed.
It felt like a drug deal. Like this guy just comes to our door and it's like, "Hey, I have a freezer full of meat. Trying to buy some?" And my dad was like, yeah, I'll buy some. And he probably bought so much meat because I remember opening up the refrigerator and just seeing stacks and stacks of like meat and fish. And like that stuff lasted forever. Wow. I remember when we moved out, like 4 years later, there was still meat in that freezer that he bought that said Bear on it. I was just like, okay, cool, man.
That is so interesting. I had no idea that was a thing. It kind of seems like scary to me or like intimidating. Like, hey, like, you want to buy my meat?
How do I know this is actual meat?
You want to get some meat? Yeah, it's like, it's all like deer meat or something.
Or it's just like crime scene meat.
Yeah. Oh, no. Yeah, but no, it's actually like, it's cool that it's a small business though. And it reminds me of like the milkmen and all the meat man. Yeah.
Oh, here comes the meat man.
the milkman and then the meat man. So anywho, that was actually Jordan Belfort's first profession as a meat giver, and he was fairly successful at it. He always seemed to have this business mind and an appetite for capitalism and self-progression. The essence of Jordan Belfort is definitely something to admire. Someone who's...
He was like a go-getter. Like he saw an opportunity in everything that he took and just jumped on it. I'm pretty sure when he went to dentistry school, he saw like a dentist one day or his dentist driving like a Bugatti or something. And he was just like, oh, I could probably do that. It seems like there's good money.
Yeah.
But quickly shut down with Mr. Dentist Professor saying, oh, there's no money in this.
Yeah. Yeah. He's someone who's able to take an average sales job and succeed at it. Someone who's able to use their wits to constantly better their situation. But of course, sometimes your best qualities can also be your worst qualities. Sometimes your greatest advantage can also lead to your demise. So Jordan took his fish and meat selling dreams and grew them into this outrageous, huge business that just completely plummeted.
Hey, but he knew how to make it happen, though. You know, props to that.
Within months, he was running a string of trucks, moving 5,000 pounds of beef and fish a week, which is so interesting because
It's a whole lot of meat.
Yeah, on my channel, I've covered stories like Kirby, and there's a ton of other like door-to-door sales jobs like Cutco that tell you like you can make thousands of dollars off of just door-to-door sales. And
go Cutco.
Yeah, and so many times like I tell people like this is a scam. Like, you know, most people don't make money doing this, but Jordan Belfort was someone who was actually able to make money doing door-to-door sales. But unfortunately, Jordan expanded his business too quickly on too little capital. And by the time he was 25, he had to file for personal bankruptcy.
It's just like, bro, just like go business school, man. That's it.
I mean, everyone has failures, especially in business. Like the more people you look into, even someone like Elon Musk has failed constantly. So it happens. But yeah, it's definitely sad and interesting. And I wonder if he wasn't so focused on doing these like quick get rich quick schemes where he just like tries to get as much money as quickly as possible, but instead did something that was a more sustainable thing that was a little bit more of a slow burn, if that would actually have a better impact on his success. I mean, we know at this point it would. But interestingly enough, when it comes to that whole story of, reaching success, expanding your business too quick, and then having to, file for bankruptcy, I feel like a lot of people actually do that with their own business, where they experience success and they think that a ton of business is coming in and that's all they need. So they massively expand operations way too quickly, thinking that that's what they're supposed to do. It's a successful business and we're getting customers, so we have to expand. But they don't really plan for the growing expenses that come along with growing operations. And before they know it, they're losing a ton of money that they didn't plan for. And they have no option but to file for bankruptcy and close the business.
Bankruptcy.
Funny. Yeah, I declare bankruptcy. Funny enough, that's kind of on my dad's side of the family, the story of just all my uncles and my grandpa, where they would start all these businesses in the kind of handyman arena.
Story of the Madisons.
Yeah. Yeah. And they would gain business and they would think, oh, that's great. And so then they would just hire a bunch of people, expand operations, get a bunch of trucks, all this stuff. And before they knew it, they were bankrupt, even though they had a lot of business coming in.
What are you doing?
Interesting. Our cat has come to join us.
I love how they just both waltzed in at the same time, like this, like they run this shit. What's up, fuckers?
But yeah, it reminds me of like in The Office when Michael starts his own paper company and they think business is great because they're getting customers, but the Michael Scott
I love the part when the little lady walks into the van because there's like Korean writing on it.
That was an amazing
like for a Korean church.
We love The Office, but yeah, in the end, sorry, spoilers if you haven't seen The Office, but in the end, the Michael Scott Paper Company didn't plan out their financials correctly, and they had no idea that the business was actually in trouble before it was too late. Yeah. Of course, that story had a happy
here's the second
ending.
One.
Yeah, second.
What was that? Did you see how she just ran across the table? Nice.
But yeah, of course, that story had a happy ending, but not every story does.
Do you know what I'm bummed out about?
What?
Parks and Rec.
I know.
In case you guys didn't know, or if you don't care, Parks and Rec is no longer on Netflix anymore as of October 23rd.
Yeah.
And we were halfway through the season until I saw like the little sign on the like bottom right where it said, "Oh, we're going to be getting rid of this for no apparent reason."
I feel like they did
Netflix,
that so
if you're
sneaky.
watching this, like, please put it back on for me.
Yeah, they really did that so sneakily where like I feel like they just no one noticed at first that they took Parks and Rec off, but I'm super bummed. And there's even news that in 2021 they're removing The Office.
Oh, looks like we're burning through that season again.
I know, it's so sad.
Tragic.
So anyways,
Rest in
back
peace.
back to Jordan Belfort and his story.
Okay. Oh, yeah. Sorry, a little sidetracked here. But anyways, so Jordan declares bankruptcy and moves to the stock market. So he probably saw someone in the stock market industry where like, oh, he's making a good living for himself. Let me try and do that.
Which, I mean, honestly, the stock market and stockbrokers, that is one of those things where you can just make an insane amount of money.
Not like penny stocks and stuff like that, which you'll see, but like actual stocks. I'm not like a stock guy. I'm not like those stock YouTubers where it's just like, oh,
I made
buy these pharmaceutical
60,
stocks today.
Yeah.
buy Home Depot and Lowe's stocks. They're boarding up everything in the country for elections.
Oh, yeah. You're right. No.
Lowe's and Home Depot sales through the roof.
Yeah. No, Riley actually has this funny thing where he's really into stocks and he always thinks that he's going to make like a fortune investing like $20 into
like
Uber.
Like a hundredth of Bitcoin because I can't afford the actual thing.
And he gets really into it. And I'm just like,
hey, I actually made some profit. like $5.
Tell them how much you made. Tell them how much profit.
So I put $300 into stocks, okay? And I got like $5 in return. It's pretty cool.
No, how much do you like?
No, just leave it.
You doubled it, right? Or
sure.
Okay.
You don't need to know about that.
Okay. Well, buy our course on how to get
I mean, we'll put out a course for you guys and I'll show you all the stocks I buy.
No, but really, I mean, stocks, it's like stonks. I think, S&P 500 I've heard is a good thing to invest in for like a long-term savings plan. But for the most part, as Bloomberg says, it's better to put money in stocks and just sit on it for forever instead of...
Bloomberg, you mean?
Bloomberg, right?
No, that's... What's that homie's name? Hold on.
I'm pretty sure it's Bloomberg.
It's not richest homies in the world.
But anyways, like the stocks, it's more of a long-term game and most people aren't going to make like an insane amount of money.
Warren Buffett.
I don't know why I said Bloomberg.
What'd you say?
Bloomberg. He is also a billionaire, Michael Bloomberg, but I'm pretty sure he's a little bit more crummy.
Magazine.
Yes, it's his magazine.
No way.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Surprise.
Wow, sass. But getting back to the story for like the third time. So Jordan Belfort, he joins the stock market and he works under a stock brokerage where they deal penny stocks. Mm-hmm. And he went to work there from 1988 and only worked there for about like a year or so. Which, funny enough, the year that Jordan Belfort left that industry, like left that brokerage and started his own, they got shut down by the SEC for fraud and stuff like that. So it kind of tells you like what Jordan is about to do.
Yeah, I mean, you'd think that that would be a warning sign if you like it's your first year in a brand new career and the first job you get with the first company, that same company within the year gets shut down by the SEC. You'd be like,
rest in peace.
Maybe this is a little shady.
Hell yeah.
Maybe I shouldn't do that. Maybe I shouldn't pursue this career, but for him, he was like, sign me up for more of that.
Yeah. He knew that he wanted to do it when like his like person that he was like his homie, his person that he was interning with, wherever
the brokerage.
Yeah, the brokerage that he was working for, he like drove like a really nice Lamborghini and stuff, and Jordan was like, oh, I can get into this.
Yeah.
Because
all about the Flash too. That's really interesting.
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
But despite the shutdown, he learned that it's not about what stock the other person is trying to buy. It's about how motivating you are on the other side of the phone. Yeah. As a businessman, as a broker.
Yeah, it's like because I'm currently doing this deep dive analysis on the get rich quick gurus on YouTube. And they sell these courses filled with nothing and nonsense, but they try and sell it with such passion and enthusiasm. And
it makes people try and get into it. Like Gary Vee, like...
what is he selling? What is he preaching?
Yeah,
what is
I think you guys heard me talk about him in like all the other videos, but like this man is just like blowing up smoke up everyone's ass. Like he literally just talks straight nonsense. I feel bad because
a lot of people have said that he helps them, and it's like that's great and everything. So we're not trying to trash on you know someone who's helped you, but I am. But he is. But the thing is like these get rich quick scammers, not that Gary Vee is one of those, he's a little different, but they sell all these ads that are just so convincing, and it's all this pizzazz and flash to get people trapped into purchasing the courses. And this whole thing about Jordan Belfort and you know that it's more about being motivating than actually what you're selling. I feel like so many people nowadays mirror that entire sentiment, where it's more about how flashy you are and how convincing you are than the actual substance of the product that you're selling. So
yeah, he was kind of like the OG like get rich quick guru, you know?
Totally.
And like I don't really have a problem with Gary Vee's motivation and stuff like that. I just jumped all the way back to Gary Vee, if you guys didn't catch it. But I don't have a problem with Gary Vee's like motivational speeches and stuff. I have a problem with like what he motivates people to do. You know, like I've seen videos where he says, oh, you know, fuck school, fuck your parents, you know, just leave and get started on your business. And it's just like, no, it like, yeah, it might be successful for like a certain percentage of people, but there's like this whole majority that they'll fail instantly if they try and do what Gary Vee tells them to do.
I mean, I think it's like, you know, just touching on the topic of motivational influencers, any sort of like motivational speaker or influencer, I feel like you just have to know to take what they say with a grain of salt. Like if you know yourself and you know something applies to you, you take that. But if they're like saying, you know, oh, don't listen to your parents, don't go to school. It's like,
well, if your parents are like successful people, you know?
Yeah, it's like that works for some people and it doesn't work for others. So it's just like taking what they're saying with a grain of salt, not taking it too seriously is very important in my opinion.
Hey, look at this.
Because we all have,
It's like a Coke bottle.
Yeah.
That's cool. Sorry.
Okay.
Oh, okay. So... Jeez, I'm just all over the place today, aren't I?
This is why I think we are ADHD, maybe.
Okay. But anyways, about 2 years later of Jordan Belfort, I was about to say Gary Vee, Jordan Belfort learned the stock market.
We have to stop talking about Gary Vee. I feel like it's this like rabbit hole that we continually jump down. Okay. Last thing I'll say about Gary Vee. Last thing I'll say. Everyone who's watching this who got in to learn about Jordan Belfort is just like, what the heck is this? But last thing I'll say is like, he fascinates me because I listen to him and I don't understand. Like, it just feels like nonsense that I'm hearing, or like most of the time, like where there's like maybe one out of every 100 things he says, like is actually decent advice. And most of it is just like, like nonsense or really basic advice or like things that have been said a million times. And so I just don't understand the amount of devotion that some people have for him and like how obsessed some people are and how much they feel like it's almost like how do I say, like they almost idolize him into this like godlike figure who has like amazing advice just for like everyone.
Gary V idols, just
and that's what I just don't get. So that's why we're so fascinated with him.
as like Busta Rhymes. Like, have you ever listened to like a Busta Rhymes rap song? Like, he raps like super fast. And, like, you try and listen to like everything that he says, and you can't really make sense of what he's saying. Yeah. But there's every like couple words or so where you understand what Busta Rhymes is saying. So that's kind of totally how I view Gary V.
Everyone who
not as lyrical, but
everyone who like is tuning into this podcast who likes the organization of my usual videos is probably like, what the heck is this fever dream right now where we're talking about random stuff over here. I guess so.
Plains of grass called life. But getting back to like the fifth time. So Jordan Belfort, 2 years later, after learning the stock market, how to be a stockbroker, how to basically sell ice to Eskimos and fish. Yeah. Because he was a fisherman. He was a meat man.
Meat man.
He started his own firm called Stratton Oakmont in Lake Success, New York, in Long Island. I promised myself. So Borat 2 just came out. If you guys haven't watched it, it's pretty funny. We're not sponsored by Amazon, but check it out. It's a good movie, but I'm trying not to like. Good. Oh God, I'm trying not to say like any Borat quotes because it just feels really cheesy to quote a movie that just came out.
I guess so.
For the second time.
Well, I'll be basic then.
Yeah, go for it. But so him and his partner Danny Porsche developed Stratton Oakmont, which was a pump and dump scheme brokerage. You know, and if you guys don't know what pump and dump is, it's basically just like selling stocks, penny stocks usually, to unsuspecting clients, you know, probably like middle class people who like are pretty good with their money but don't know how to like get passive income. So they sell these stocks to them. They inflate the stock market, like the stock that they're selling, then they sell it. So it's a pumping and dumping, big fat dumps of stocks. But it's like, that's kind of like Jordan Belfort's like Mortal Kombat finisher move, like the Mr. Cage's finisher move, where like he just like rips off heads with his tactics and selling stuff, if that makes sense for you guys. But
it doesn't make sense to me. But remember, 1% audience of male. No, that's actually girls play games too. That's stupid to say that.
Yeah, how dare you?
How dare I? I'm sorry. Like crucify me in the comments.
Pokemon's like a hardcore gamer.
Oh yeah, and she's actually good too. I love watching her. Her what's it called? Why am I blanking on it? No, Imposter. What's that?
Among
called?
Us.
Among Us. I love watching her Among Us games.
Like, I can destroy her in any game possible.
Oh
any
my gosh.
game known to man. I will...
Known to man?
And woman.
Excuse me?
And Pokemon. But,
wow. Okay.
Anywho.
I see you.
Yeah. So he played a dangerous game with other people's money and... Oh my God! I just got attacked by our cats. But Jordan Belfort just played a really dangerous game with other people's money and made a temporary profit off of it. Mm-hmm. And
the thing is, like, the people he targeted weren't financially well off. It's like, you know, that idea of everyone wants to, you know, be rich and find the secret and what's the secret to success. And I think a lot of people are really fascinated by the elusive stock market. It's one of those things where people within it know so much about it, but people outside of this realm of knowledge just don't really know, you know, like people who are, you know, truck drivers or just average people, average American citizens. And that's actually who
Jordan... jump straight to truck drivers?
Because I remember actually reading something about him mentioning how he targeted truck drivers.
Oh,
but
really?
Yeah. But,
actually, didn't I have like a scene in The Wolf of Wall Street?
I think so. Yeah. But yeah, so like he targeted, you know, kind of the average Joe character, I guess, and then would feed them all these like stories about how he's this expert in the stock market and he knows like what's about to take off, and invest in this stock and you'll make all this money. And a lot of them bought it because they weren't experts. They didn't really know, you know, and so he took advantage of that. They were unsuspecting. They wanted to get rich. And so they were more susceptible to this scam. And he was able to profit off of that naivety in a way.
Totally. It's almost like a charming robber who steals your money right in front of you, basically. Just like this con artist magician who distracts you with like a little bit of like pizzazz.
Yeah, look at this.
Yeah. Yeah, well, like his colleague is like reaching in the back of your pocket, stealing like all the dollars that you have in here. I haven't had like $1 in my wallet for like a year now.
A long time. Yeah, we don't carry cash anymore.
Apple Pay. Not sponsored by them either, but
but yeah, it's like they oversell the reward and greatly underplay the risks.
Yep.
Yeah.
But within a year of Jordan Belfort and Danny running Stratton and Oakmont, they made almost $30 million in commission revenues,
which is insane.
With like 150 employees at the time.
Wow.
And with him owning 50% equity in the business, he almost walked away with like $3 million.
Which rarely, you rarely in your first year of business, especially, make any profit that you're able to walk away with. So that's just insanity.
It's insane. It's totally crazy. But he kept going. And I'm pretty sure I'd be set with $3 million.
Yeah.
Like if I got $3 million, I'd be like, okay, I'm out.
So Stratton ended up growing into a booming business with nearly 1,000 brokers at its peak, which is an insane amount of people. Like, you know, it's kind of almost like employees, but it's a little different since they're almost like independent contractors in the way it's structured.
Yeah, like they have their client list, their client book, and they're like, okay, well, I have all these people. Like you have like last name A through like C or something on like a Yellow Pages book, and you just call those people.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Totally. Now, if you don't know the story of Jordan Belfort or have never seen the movie Wolf of Wall Street, you're probably wondering, how does someone go from 150 brokers, which is still quite a bit, to 1,000 brokers in the blink of an eye?
All the people watching in the UK.
A bunch of blokers. And we do have the answer for you. In October of 1991, Forbes magazine saw the success of Jordan Belfort, but kind of started to predict the shadiness of the business. Kitty, what are you doing? Our cat wants to make noise in the podcast and join in on this.
Let me demonstrate a whale call.
So Forbes magazine saw the success of Jordan Belfort and wrote an article on him and his business in their paper. Now, Forbes themselves actually didn't dub Jordan Belfort as the Wolf of Wall Street. Instead, they called him a twisted Robin Hood in their article, who takes from the rich and gives to himself and his merry band of brokers.
Robbers, basically the same thing.
It was kind of the same thing.
Depends who you're asking.
Fun fact, though, Jordan himself actually came up with the name Wolf of Wall Street in order to push out his autobiography.
What a dork.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know any cool person that gives himself a nickname.
Yeah.
Like, I had this old boss that, like, gave himself the nickname Superman. And he would, like, on his free time, wear, like, Superman shit. And I'm just, like, looking at him like, are you for real right now? Like, no one calls you Superman, homie.
Yeah. Well, interestingly enough, apparently Tommy Chong from Cheech and Chong was actually Jordan's cellmate when they were in federal prison together. And he told Jordan that he should make an autobiography while they were in jail together.
Just high as shit. Just like, hey, man.
Well, no, obviously not, because they're in prison. But
like, they don't get drugs in prison?
I mean, okay. But yeah, so that's how Jordan ended up deciding to further capitalize off of this story and dub himself the Wolf of Wall Street. But originally, when Forbes wrote the article on Jordan, their intent wasn't to make him this famous character that would end up going on to have movies. Like, it was more of an expose. Like, it was an article meant to show how much of a crummy, scummy person he is and kind of expose that. And instead, it did the exact opposite. Like, instead, all of these fresh out of college, former frat boys turned aspiring brokers just fell in love with him and his story.
He's just like,
money. Yeah, exactly. They're like, I want to make money and I also want to scam people. And they just loved the amount of wealth he accumulated and wanted to be just like him. So that's when Jordan Belfort got this huge influx of brokers, was actually through an expose story meant to expose him that instead ended up attracting a bunch of aspiring scammers to the brokerage.
Forbes always does the opposite of what they're trying to accomplish.
Yeah, it just indirectly promoted his business.
Nice. So that's pretty accurate. I mean, not entirely accurate. Like, in the actual movie Wolf of Wall Street, like, after the Forbes magazine, you know, Jordan Belfort's going crazy. He's just like, oh, what the hell? Like, oh, I'm going to lose so much business. And like a couple hours later, like, all these like young kids are trying to like get hired by Jordan. He said that wasn't entirely accurate. He said that he accumulated those 1,000 people like over a couple months. Yeah. But like, people weren't storming the building trying to like get his monies.
So it's on to bad habits. We just took a potty break.
Nice. Well, you just like let everyone know what I do on our free time.
Yep.
But anyways, like Madison said, we're going to get into Jordan Belfort's bad habits.
Did I say that? I don't think I said that.
Yeah, you did.
I did.
Yeah. Okay. Of course you did.
Editing Riley, we'll see.
So, cool thing about marriage, actually, when you guys get married, just like every sub.
Not everyone gets married. That's kind of a personal choice.
But when it comes to marriage, you develop telekinesis. You know, we can read each other's mind just instantly. Like right now, Madison's telling me shut the fuck up and get on with the script. Right?
Yep. How did you know? Genius.
But with Jordan Belfort basically making all this money, he developed some pretty hardcore habits, including like overindulging in money. He bought Coco Chanel's yacht at one point, which he crashed in the movie.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah, the yacht that he just yeeted into the ocean. Yep, that was Coco Chanel's.
Interesting.
Yep. And he just got into like a lot of R-rated activities, you know. Mm-hmm. He would buy stuff like expensive cars, yachts, helicopters, narcotics, stuff like that. Just not good stuff to do with money.
Yeah.
Because like no one should buy a car with money. You know, you should just steal it.
Well, you know, it's you do what you want with your money. If you find enjoyment from that, that's great. But it's just so interesting, this whole topic of seeing all of these scammers that we talk about in our podcast and also in my videos, seeing how they spend their money. So many of them just overindulge or go over the top. And it's like, it just goes to show you can always spend more than you make, or you can always, you know, spend a lot of what you make, no matter how rich you are. It's like the concept of the hedonic treadmill, which is this theory that no matter how great your life is, you always resort to the same level of happiness. Like we always resort back to that same level of happiness.
So deep.
It's kind of the same thing here, you know, where it's like no matter how rich you are, you always want more. No matter how successful you get, you always want to achieve more. And it's always this more mentality that kind of brings us on that hedonic treadmill where we're just always the same level of happiness, the same level of dissatisfied, you know, and you think that material items will fix it, and it really won't.
Hi, kiddos. They just barge in wherever they want now, don't you?
They do.
But from the interviews and videos I saw on Jordan Belfort, the movie Wolf of Wall Street, he said it was pretty accurately displayed, except the one scene where like they threw a short person into. But it's like also,
of course, he would say like, "Yep, that movie that makes me look like a badass and has all these crazy parties was so accurate." Yep. Like, of course, he would say that. Like,
yeah, I'm badass like that, man.
Of course, it does kind of glorify his life in a lot of ways. He has everything to gain from people thinking that that was really how his life was, and I also, I do feel like a lot of that glorification of that lifestyle, I don't know how I feel about that being glorified, just because I have been around in the past people with a lot of money who are very obsessed with partying. I know, I'm so cool. No, but just, with like, my LA experience and stuff, like I just was around people who...
From LA too?
Yes. I was just around people who were really into partying and who were really rich. And they were genuinely some of the most unhappy people I have ever met in my life, like the most miserable people. And so in that kind of experience, I felt personally like I learned that in the end, just human connections and genuine relationships are truly the most important thing in life. Like, no matter, there's so many people that use material items to draw in people, but the people they draw in are there for the wrong reasons. Yep. And they're just, it leads to this like dark circle, that you're surrounding yourself with. Yep. So
money can't get you happiness. Only happiness can get you happiness.
Yeah. And I feel like, Kitty, no. I feel like, sorry, our cats are really involved in what we're doing right now.
Little shits. No scratching. We talked about this multiple times. Just don't listen.
They do not listen.
The other one's coming in like, I heard scratching.
What can I do? They know it gets them attention too. But yeah, it's just like, I feel like a lot of these movies or stories or these influencers like Dan Bilzerian, they just like, they kind of promote this lifestyle. And I know people who are living that lifestyle, even some of the influencers themselves who are really unhappy. So it's just sad when I see more people like getting drawn into this idea that like, oh, I want to be like Jordan Belfort. I want to be like Dan Bilzerian. No.
Just don't.
Yep.
Be yourself.
Yep.
It's an inspirational quote of the day. But as quickly as Jordan built his wealth, it all collapsed relatively quick. And just like that, everything was gone. Federal prison. And now he's in negative $100 million in debt. Just imagine.
Wow.
Because like I Google it like quite frequently just to like get little updates on Jordan and his life. It keeps saying
just check in on old Jordy.
Jordan Belfort's net worth is negative 100 million. But throughout his ownership in Stratton, Oakmont, he was in an ongoing investigation with the SEC, the Securities Exchange Commission, which was portrayed in the film as the FBI.
Which I'm sure
I'm sure they work together, Yeah.
But, I mean, it's like, I'm sure that the SEC determines whether something's illegal. And then once it's found illegal, the FBI, cracks down. So,
So when the FBI and SEC cracked down on them, this was in the year 1999, which is only 10 years after Jordan Belfort started Stratton Oakmont, which is pretty crazy. So the company was seized and forced to shut down after it was confirmed that they were indeed running an illegal boiler room and pump and dump brokerage.
Which, interestingly enough, I've been doing a lot of research on boiler rooms themselves, just because it has a lot to do with the whole get rich quick scammers that we see a lot of recently as well. So basically, a boiler room company and... Sorry. Cat. So a boiler room company is basically like those call center companies or companies that are just their entire purpose is to try and rope you into some sort of scam through aggressive sales tactics where they're reaching out to you through either call or email. A lot of times you'll have these like websites that are just fronts for boiler room companies that'll say like, enter your phone number or enter your email to get a free copy of this ebook on how to make a website or on how to invest or any of those kinds of concepts for getting rich. And then they send your information to boiler room companies, and those boiler room companies just aggressively contact you to try and get you to buy or purchase a scheme and scam.
And that's how I get 20 phone calls a day. from telemarketers.
He really does. He does.
It's
I don't know
ridiculous.
where he entered his information, but it's horrible.
So I bought this little SIM card data plan when I was in Kosovo for a little bit. And I think ever since then, I just started getting multiple phone calls.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's all different types.
Don't buy shady SIM cards.
Yeah. And there's all different types of boiler room companies, especially in modern day. And a lot of them, the FTC is constantly trying to crack down on, but there's just so many. And it's this complex web that it's extremely hard to tackle them. And basically, Jordan Belfort's scheme was a combination of this boiler room type of scam and a pump and dump brokerage.
Pump and dumpers.
Yes. It was estimated that almost $200 million of consumers' money was lost because of the illegal scheme that Jordan Belfort was running, which $200 million. I mean, some industries aren't even that large. Some like actual industries,
small cap industries,
aren't even like $200 million. So to know that consumers lost and were scammed out of $200 million, and Jordan was able to find a system that was able to scam people out of that large amount of money is insane. It's impressive, but in all of the worst ways possible. So,
hell yeah.
Yeah. And Jordan hurt a lot of people. Bottom line, you know, of course it's all money and, you know, so a lot of people think it's harmless or it's no big deal, but for people that need that money and who were really hoping that they would be helped by Jordan Belfort's scheme, like he hurt them and that is not good.
Yeah.
And bottom line. So Jordan Belfort was charged with 10 counts of security fraud and money laundering that was supposed to bring him nearly 2 decades in federal prison.
Damn.
Yeah. And, you know, as we know, people who are, you know, do any sort of white collar crime or who are successful white dudes, they always, you know, get proper punishment, right? They're always, they always are able to reap what they sow. Surprise, surprise, his attorney was able to bring down his sentence to only 22 months in jail.
It's crazy.
He scammed people out of $200 million and only got 22 months in jail. There are some people who are still in prison to this day for marijuana charges in a state where marijuana is now legal. But he only received 22 months in jail for scamming people out of $200 million.
Classic.
And Jordan's prison was also like a very cush, like federal prison.
It's a federal prison. Like this is where like top tier criminals go to, you know, they have
top tier. Yeah.
Yeah. Like the top shelf. They basically have stuff like tennis courts, basketball courts, like high class weight rooms, like individual, like prison chefs, like really good chefs and stuff, saunas. You're probably like a licensed masseuse for every cellmate.
Yeah.
So it's some hardcore stuff.
It's like a 22-month getaway, which, you know, when in reality there's people who just because of their class or, you know, their income, that they're not able to afford the right lawyer or all of that, they end up going to private prisons where they're treated horribly. They're starved. There's fights. There's it's unsanitary conditions.
It's forced labor.
Yeah, forced labor.
That's
it's crazy, the contrast. And, you know, when in reality, I don't think that this is less. I mean, of course, there's far worse crimes to commit, but I don't think that drug charges versus scamming people out of $200 million. I don't think there's one that's better than the other. You know, to the point where Jordan Belfort gets treated so well in prison. I mean, that just blows my mind. It makes me sad.
Tommy Chong was a cellmate. So what is Jordan Belfort up to now? What does one basically do after they run a pretty successful, notorious company that just turns into a giant, massive dump? You know?
Well, knowing Jordan, he's always on to the next thing, on to the next scheme.
Yeah. Yeah, but unsurprisingly enough, Jordan is still kicking it, even though he's in negatives $100 million.
Yeah.
And that he owes to the SEC or where the fuck he owes it to.
The government. Let's just say that.
Yeah, the good old DOD. But
I'm pretty sure it's the IRS that he owes it to.
Yeah, someone like that.
Yeah.
Someone takes his money.
An agency of sorts.
Yeah. So Jordan is actually still kicking it. Especially like with today's day and age, like when Wolf of Wall Street came out, this was in 2013, and social media was pretty prime, you know, like, so he was insta famous. You know, Jordan Belfort had that name. He had that name, Wolf of Wall Street, that was imprinted on everybody's mind when they saw him.
Yeah.
You know, so he still actually does like a lot of stuff, and he has a cult-like following with him.
Yeah, I mean, it's even if you're kind of an evil like figure on social media nowadays, that doesn't even really matter. And as long as you have a name for yourself, you're able to get a following and then capitalize off of that following through social media and the internet and all of that. And so that's what Jordan did, because he takes advantage of every opportunity he can.
Yeah. So Jordan runs a podcast now called The Wolf's Den. And he's kind of like a Gary Vee type, like motivational speaker.
Rachel Hollis,
yeah, just this motivational speaker, like, oh, I was at the very top in life, and you could do the same type of person.
Which it's like, that's what I don't understand. Is like, yeah, let's learn from me how to do business so you too can ruin your life and experience momentary riches and then lifelong debt. Like, why would people be interested in hearing what he had to say? I mean, of course he has some redeemable aspects or like an interesting mentality in life, but at the end, he was a massive failure and con artist. Like, why are people so interested in what he has to say? I think it's just because he developed that name for himself.
The audience, this is a lifestyle that he portrayed and says it was true and has people to back it up to say it was true as well.
Yeah, he developed a brand, you know, and so of course there's some people that are gonna follow him and look up to his brand, and I mean, good for him, I guess, but also like
I think other people deserve it.
Yeah, he hurt people. He genuinely hurt people. He genuinely scammed people. Let's maybe support people who don't do that. That's just like, I don't know, maybe an outlandish thought, but just a thought there.
But he kind of jumped on the same trend that these rich guru type people get into. You know, like, I forgot the names. She knows all the names, but those guys are like, oh, buy my course to, you know, learn how to make millions. He kind of does the same thing, but on the higher end. So like his lowest costing course on his website is $400 for like a little taste of how to make money like Jordan, with the highest being like $5,000 for like a full course. Unlock the secrets of how to be just as successful as a Wolf of Wall Street, you know, without the fraud.
Yeah.
That's basically what he's selling. It's
so funny to me because, you know, we talked about kind of how similar a lot of what he did was to the get rich quick gurus. And so now after he got out of jail and is in debt, he just became a full on internet get rich quick guru influencer and is selling courses and doing motivational speeches and basically doing everything you possibly can to be one of these guru scammer guys. And it's just so funny.
Yep.
You know,
like, before the movie came out, of course, he wrote the book, his autobiography, The Wolf of Wall Street. And that grossed him like about $1 million in sales, and counting, of course, because, you know, he's still selling books.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, well, fortunately, actually, because he's a fucking turd muffin. But he owes the IRS 50% of his yearly income. So all that $1 million that he made, he owes $500,000 to the IRS.
500,000.
I said $500,000. It's the same thing.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Sorry,
did I just teach you something?
No, I knew that, but I don't know why I thought.
Sure, you did.
Stop. It's embarrassing.
Keeping that in there.
Okay. But yeah, I mean, like, the thing is, I don't really care that he owes 50% of his income to the IRS, because he also did literally scam a ton of people. And he only is in debt to 100,000, but he like scammed people out of
100 million.
100 million. Sorry. Yeah. Anyways, I'm sorry. I guess I'm tired and numbers are starting to become jumbled in my head. But the thing is, he was never really punished that harshly for for like what he did. He never actually was punished. So to have to pay 50% of what he makes, it's like, it kind of makes sense. I get it. And one of the funniest things I think that Jordan sells now is that this program where you too can book a weekend getaway with Jordan Belfort.
It sounds so romantic.
Yeah, so romantic. To learn all the secrets in person at his house in Beverly Hills. All of his secrets. Gotta love how these gurus always, how these gurus always sell these secret, you know, and it's like, there's some sort of secret to getting rich, you know, you too can learn the secret. It's like, no, like there is no secret. It's just, you know.
I want to see one financially successful person that gives credit to Jordan Belfort.
Yeah.
You know.
I mean, like, in reality, it's just like, there's a ton of people that are trying to run scams and schemes like Jordan Belfort who aren't making any money in it because it's a scam, you know, and like, it just, you never know. I think a lot of it is luck and then, of course, personality and perseverance, but also just finding ways to cheat the system unethically, which is bad. But yeah, so on his website, it says that you can normally book a weekend getaway with Jordan Belfort for $100,000. But
normally, it says normally $100,000. Like he leaves that little cliffhanger.
Yep.
It could be either $100,000, $120,000 or more. So,
yeah. So we really don't know what the actual price is, but apparently it's just normally $100,000 for a weekend with Jordan Belfort.
And it's in a couple weeks too.
Yeah.
On his website, it's like November 18th or something like that.
What a deal, guys! We all have to jump on this.
Let's all show up.
I mean, the most unfortunate thing is honestly because of the movie and because of the brand that he's worked to develop, you know that people just absolutely fell in love with the Wolf of Wall Street character and will probably do anything to meet him and talk to him and will buy his courses and his books and anything he has to say because they want to live the lifestyle that the movie portrayed because, you know, we don't actually know the reality of his life itself and how that all went down. So, I don't know about you, but I personally feel like Jordan Belfort is not the man people should wish to be. He abused and scammed people, and it's just mind-boggling that, you know, people who idolize this American businessman lifestyle dream want to be as infamous as Jordan Belfort. Like, kudos that he's able to use his infamy for further success today.
Congratulations.
But I don't know. I don't think anyone should try and follow what this guy has to say. It's like the story of Icarus, bringing it back to that. He flew too close to the sun, found a way to abuse a system, and took so much, lived fast, lived an over-the-top lifestyle as quick as he could. And unfortunately, the only way for him to go was down and fast, or maybe fortunately.
I don't know who Icarus is.
It's like a mythology story about these I think they're trying to escape a prison. Oh my gosh, I'm gonna butcher the story so hardcore, but it's like a son and a father, and they're trying to escape a prison, I believe, and in order to escape, they find wax and feathers and they create wings and then they're able to fly. And while they're flying, Icarus, who's the son, gets so excited about this flight that he's taking. And so he goes higher and higher. And his dad's like, don't fly too close to the sun. The wax is going to melt. Like, don't fly too close to the sun. But Icarus didn't listen. He got too excited and he kept flying higher and higher until the wax melted and he ended up just plummeting down into the ocean.
That's so unscientific though.
Well, of
you
course.
Can't fly with wax and feathers.
Yes, but it's like a mythology. It's this idea that
maybe they should make it more realistic next time, yeah?
Yeah, it's this whole idea of like being overzealous and overeager can actually lead to your demise. So anyways, you know, moral of the story, in my personal opinion, is if you want to be a millionaire, there are so many people who get there through having an honest job, living modestly, and making smart financial investments along the way. And not only is that more sustainable than living like Jordan Belfort, but it's also a lot more rewarding. at least in my opinion, it helps prevent you getting into that trap of the hedonic treadmill. So yeah, that's the story of Jordan Belfort. It was a little bit more all over the place than our previous podcasts. Let us know in the comments if you like to see more of these like random tangents and storylines. Because we can talk about a whole lot of stuff
if you want. Yeah, we can just go for minutes to minutes of
Yep.
Of just dumb stuff if you want.
And
pumping and dumping.
And yeah, for this podcast episode, since we usually have that whole pizza theme, let us know in the comments below what your favorite type of pizza is.
Oh, that's so considerate.
To keep that going. Yeah.
Yeah.
And thank you for tuning in.
But if you're a real one, just comment pineapple pizza.
I guess so.
I'm kidding. Do what your heart tells you to do.
Yeah.
It could be any food item. Just go for it. Nike. Do it.
Okay. Thank you for tuning in to the 4th podcast that we have here. Hopefully you guys liked a little mix up of a non-MLM story, and yeah.
One step closer to number 5.
Hope you guys are staying safe. If those that live in the US, hopefully you guys are doing well with the elections going on right now. It's a stressful time.
You're acting like we don't live in the US.
Well, oh, no, we do. But yeah, at this time, we're recording on November 2nd. So by the time that this video is posted, we'll all probably know who the next president will be. And that's really sketchy and scary to think about.
Still wear a mask. You know, we just reached like 100,000 cases in America. We're in our second wave right now. It's getting pretty intense.
Yeah, we're surprised that a second lockdown hasn't happened yet. I mean, you know, whether or not you think that's good or bad, but yeah, we're
not the most political, but
I mean,
we don't talk about political things on our channel, so we won't.
I mean, yeah, I guess so.
Yeah.
But yeah. Anyways, we'll catch you guys in the next episode.
Like, subscribe. Yeah. All that fun stuff. I don't know what you guys do on Spotify or iTunes, but if there's like a like on it, then go for it.
We're so bad with podcasts. We're still learning.
Yeah. Also, let us know how our audio sounded. You know, we tried something a little different today. I gave Madison this snowball and I tried this one out. So
yeah, trying to improve production quality.
Yeah.
All right.
Peace out,
See
y'all.
you guys later.